Hi, welcome back. So we're still in chapter 9, and now we're going to continue talking about land restrictions. So today, or I should say this evening, I would like to go over again eminent domain, which I talked about in the previous video, condemnation, escheat, cluster zoning, abutting land, the master plan, and spot zoning. Then we're going to end the video talking about variances. So there's two types of variances. You have a use variance and an area variance. And I'm going to give you some examples of both of those, okay? So remember, for exam purposes, that eminent domain, like I said in the previous video, is the taking of private property for public use. Now, it doesn't necessarily just have to be the federal government. So it could be, like I said, it could be transportation, it could be a school that's going to be built, hospital. So it could be the federal, state, county entities that are taking private property for public use. Okay? Condemnation is the name of the process. So if you have an exam question that talks about police powers, just remember that police powers are the three that we discussed in the earlier video, right? Taxation, eminent domain, and escheat. Condemnation is the process. It is the process of eminent domain. So remember, I said that when someone has their land confiscated, what's going to happen is that they're going to receive fair market rate for their property. And then remember, we talked about escheat, no heirs, no will. And again, if you don't have a will, make sure to get in touch with an attorney. I think you can also create a will on, sites like LegalZoom and stuff like that as well. But it's important because, again, the process is really drawn out. One of my closest friends' mom was about to sign her will the night before she passed in her sleep. And I mean, it's been years. It's been years, and they still haven't settled. Plus, it's going to cost, of course, a lot of legal fees. So you have a lot of time, legal fees that's going to go on. So cluster zoning is where you have multiple types of different properties in one zone. So cluster zoning would be a great example would be for those of you that's been in gated communities, right? So if you've been in a gated community, or whether it's in New York or outside of New York, and you would notice that when you go into the community, right, they have like a clubhouse, then they have maybe townhouses, maybe single family houses, maybe a swimming pool. So those are all different types of structures. Those are different types of structures that's going to have different use, right? Because you have some commercial that's in there, and then you have all this other residential, right? So that will be an example of cluster zoning. Abutting land would be several different parcels of land. So remember, parcel equals land. So you have several plots of land that are connected, right? So that will be abutting land, abutting land. So you have several parcels that connect to each other. They touch each other. That is the definition of abutting land. Master plan. So a master plan is, let's say it's a brand new community. A master plan would be where the commercial property is going to go, where the residential property is going to go. So it's not by accident that we all live in communities where you have all the residential housing together, right? And then most of us have to drive from our properties to like a main road that would have all the commercial places, right? So most of us don't live next to a gas station or grocery store or the laundromat. So basically you have this main road, and then within that main road is where you have all the residential properties. So that's all planned out. That's all planned out. So it's not an accident that you have all these residential properties together. You have industrial properties together, right? Long Island City, a lot of people don't know, it used to be very industrial. So you have all these industrial properties together. Manufacturing is all together. So that's all part of the master plan. Where are the different types of properties going to go, and we're going to have them all together. Okay? So now let's discuss spot zoning. I also want to talk about special use permit, and then we're going to talk about those two variances that I discussed earlier, the use variance and area variance. So let's first talk about a special use permit. So a special use permit would be, I have a residential property, but for whatever reason, I want to also have some sort of commercial business along with it. So I can apply to get a special use permit so that now I'm allowed, because we're in a residential zone, to carry on a commercial activity. A spot zoning, and this is the key thing that I need you to remember for the exam, is illegal. Now the reason why it's illegal is because of the fact with spot zoning, you have a scenario where only the person is going to benefit from this while everybody else is going to suffer. So let me give you an example. So spot zoning is me being allowed to use my residential townhouse as, let's say, a sports bar. And I'm in a total residential neighborhood. You know, there's families, they put their kids to bed at a certain time, let's say 10 o'clock. But, you know, you have the playoffs that's going on. So I have all this loud noise that's going on. Plus, you know, I'm serving alcohol. All these things are going on. So I'm benefiting because of the fact that I'm able to make more money than everybody else because I converted my townhouse into a sports bar. But I'm bringing down the value of all my neighbors. Why? Because there's noise, drunk people that's leaving, you know, my property, going through the street, doing who knows what, lots of noise, of course, every time, you know, LeBron, you know, dunks the ball. So spot zoning is illegal because of the fact that it only benefits me. It only benefits me. I'm able to make more money, but everybody else is going to suffer and their property values are going to go down. The last two things I want to talk about are variance. So the definition of a variance is it's being allowed to do something that normally nobody else is allowed to do. So you're requesting a variance. A variance is I'm getting permission to use my property different from the characteristics of my property. So let me give you an example. So there's two types of variances. You have area variance and a use variance. So first, let me talk about the use variance. So I'm in a residential area, I'm in a townhouse. I want to use the bottom of the property for commercial purposes, right? Commercial purposes, again. So I apply to get a use variance. Why? Because I want to use my property for commercial purposes, even though it's a residential property. So I want to use it for something that nobody else is allowed to use it. Area variance would be, I want to build an elevator, place an elevator inside my townhouse. Now, area variance is going to deal with the dimensions. So in order for me to place an elevator into my house, I have to have an elevator shaft, which is going to protrude upwards. So what's going to happen is I'm not asking to be able to build higher than what's recommended, right? So just know that neighborhoods would have limitations as to how high they can build up. So I asked for area variance because I want to be able to have this elevator shaft protrude higher than what's allowed in the area that I purchased. So that's an area variance. If you have any other questions, please don't forget to like, subscribe. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. The next video, we will finish up chapter 9. See you soon. Thanks again for coming to our channel. We look forward to continuing to help you and guide you through your real estate book. We are currently doing a New York real estate sales book, but later on we will follow with California sales book, Florida sales book, as well as New Jersey sales book. So look forward to those videos. One of the other things that we want to also discuss in the channel is investment, because most real estate professionals out there, they never get to learn about investment at their firm. So we want to talk about foreclosures, what type of properties you should buy. So don't forget to like and subscribe and share the video so that you'll be notified when we drop those videos. We're trying to drop at least a minimum of 3 videos per week, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video. Thank you.